If you want to be super prepared for your first chamber music rehearsal, in this video I'm going to go over 4 steps that you and everyone in your ensemble should take. Hey, this is Langerman from Violinna.live, helping you along your musical journey. Let's dive right into it. The first step to preparing for your first chamber music rehearsal is to listen to a good recording. If there is one, unless you're doing a world premiere of where there is no recording available, chances are there is a recording. YouTube is your best friend, so is Spotify. So of course, the first thing we should do is become familiarized with the piece, learn about the style, the texture, how the different parts fit, just in general, the musical structure. And of course, as you listen to the recording, you can follow a score or right away sing along with your part. So what counts as a good recording, especially if you're preparing something for which there are dozens of options available? For example, in the standard repertory, like for example, Beethoven string quartets, there are so many great recordings available. So how do we choose one to serve as our model recording? And actually, this is an open-ended question, could go into a deep discussion, but actually at the end of the video, I'm going to throw in a little tip about this, about how to choose recording, so stick around. Step number 2 is score studying, and of course, this goes hand in hand with listening. We want to identify different sections of the form, understand when your part is the primary voice versus secondary, when it's accompanimental, when it's rhythmical. Now, also with regards to score studying, double check that everybody in your group is referring to the same score. Sometimes we can end up in a situation where the score and the parts from which we are playing, they don't completely align, especially when it comes to dynamics and articulation markings. And this is, of course, common when we are left with no choice but to play from parts that are from a different publisher than the score. Of course, that's not ideal, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you'll have a nice Baron writer score, but the parts are, I don't know, from Calmus or something. Hopefully not, but it can happen. Also, one crucial thing to pay attention to, especially as a string player, is our role with regards to intonation. This is something that will most likely come up in rehearsal, but when it comes down to tuning, it's important to understand the difference between different tuning systems, just having a basic idea between Pythagorean, just intonation, and equal temperament. The reason we want to understand the basics about it is because it regards with the fact that your part is going to switch between being a melodic voice versus being part of a vertical chord. Now, I'm not going to get into the details in this video about this, but if you want to learn some fundamentals of different tuning systems, I made a video about it. You can check it out right over here and in the description below. Step 3 is cues. We want to put cues in our parts from the score, things that will help you in the first rehearsal without having to go back and forth too many times between the score and your part. Of course, you will bring the score to the rehearsal, but mark things like important entrances, what happens right before you have an entrance. Another thing that's important to put in is when another part has a faster rhythmic value than you do. And this is especially important if your rhythms are significantly longer notes. So it's important to write what's happening. Like say you have a whole note, you want to write what's happening with another instrument, so to help you stay on track. This is very, very helpful and saves a lot of time. Also, we want to put in cues when another instrument has the melody and when that melody is being passed down from one instrument to another. And also we can put in big vertical cues when all the instruments align and come back together. So for example, if you all have a sforzando, or you start a melody in unison, or you have a big chord after some contrapunctal passage, something like that. Definitely mark if you are doubling someone or sharing a rhythm with them. And if you are the lower octave of a melody that's in unison, it's not in octaves, plan to adjust your dynamic level to support the upper octave. I'm sure there are many other cues we can put in. If you have great suggestions, put those down in the comment section below. Before we get to step 4, if you are getting any value from this video so far, please give me a quick thumbs up down below to help support this channel. And also, if you are not yet signed up, I have a free bi-monthly newsletter titled A Musician's Pursuit of Excellence and Well-Being, which goes out twice a month on the 1st and 15th of each month. It's absolutely free. Link is down in the description below, and upon signing up, you will receive a free practice plan PDF template. All right, so step 4, this is the part where we practice. Now it's time to practice with a metronome. We want to put in bowings, fingerings, put in the phrasing markings. This is something we all forget to do. I'm guilty of that sometimes. At least put in the markings that you plan to use in the first reading before making any changes later that to match other players. You can also, of course, practice your part playing along with the recording. That can also be very helpful. Of course, in that case, the tempos are going to be approximate, and it's best to do that sort of thing with headphones on. This is because, you know, since we hold our instruments so close to us, and most of you guys will probably be listening to recordings either through your laptop or your iPad or your phone. Unless you have giant speakers and great acoustics in your room, most likely those speakers won't be good enough for you to hear clearly the intonation and the blend of the parts as you're playing, because the instrument's so close. So for that reason, definitely suggest wearing a pair of headphones, at least on one side, if you plan to play along with the recording. Here's a bonus tip for those of you who made it this far. Thank you for watching. It's always nice to share between everyone in the ensemble several recordings that you all like, and share ideas for the piece ahead of time a little bit. Have a casual discussion of what you like about one recording, what you like about this other recording. You can compare and contrast different parts. And of course, no one wants to copy an interpretation entirely. I mean, we all know that's impossible, but it's always great to share sources of inspiration. That's it for today's video, folks. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend or a colleague. Don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and happy practicing.